The band has been in some form of existence for the last 11 years. And on stage we like to perform. We dress up in funny face paints, some of the colours are a little bit, how will I put it, they're kind of relevant to our earlier history or mythology. Some of the other ones have just been added for theatrics. We tend to be quite energetic on stage, trying to bring a little bit of atmosphere and a little bit of theatre to the music that we're writing ourselves. What we're playing is a mishmash of every sort of a thing. There's old Irish influences thrown in there, there's some modern Irish influences there, there's lots of different types of metal influences inside there, also related to the instruments that have been used over the time, everything from bodhráns and whistles, and even a set of uilleann pipes made it onto a recording at one point, and even a bit of singing sometimes.
My ruination was of my own seed, mere kingship of the lion I coveted, yet all she covered.
We've very often been, people would have mentioned something to do with republicanism, alright, every so often. Which of course we have nothing to do with. We played a gig in London last year, and something I do on stage a little bit is speak Irish, introducing some of the songs, and some people told me afterwards that there was quite a nasty reaction from a section of the English crowd when they heard the language being spoken, which I thought was quite funny, but there was. So it's something I hadn't thought about before. I would consider it to be a cultural act, and I have no problem saying that we are a band that's trying to promote or revive or make people aware of the culture that we had before our good neighbours came over here and showed us the error of our ways, bringing forward a more modern European thing. And basically, yeah, I mean, when you start looking at it from that aspect, we were invaded by a foreign country, and we had their ideals imposed upon us, and we were basically made feel like we were inferior until we conformed to their way of doing things. So it's something that I think we've skipped over quite easily in this country. I think that in many cases we're the poorer for it, and so I suppose maybe you could look at that as being antagonistic to people. Maybe that's considered political, but I would still say cultural. I was just a bit surprised that using this on a stage in England. It never had any problems in any other of the countries we've been so far. People found it offensive, and I find it offensive that they found it offensive. I don't think that politics is overly relevant to what we're doing. I don't think that... Well, first of all, our civil war, if you want to go back that far, created two political parties in this country, and people religiously follow one or the other for a long period of time, and there's very little difference between them at the moment, and the whole thing is sort of rendered irrelevant. They're not particularly radical parties. They don't do an awful lot that people would find offensive. They're just trying to basically take power of the country and try and steer it in a particular way. They're slightly to one side or slightly to the other side or down the middle of the road. It doesn't make any difference. They don't really believe in anything. They just want to take power, like I'm sure most parties do in the world. There's very few, I think, that have got a very strong set of political ideals that either veer too much to one side or too much to the other side. We don't want to be hijacked by some sort of ultra-Republican group, or which, by the way, tends to be more leaning towards the extreme left, or some form of a fascist group or neo-Nazi group, which veers in the complete opposite direction. they're complete opposite sides, and realistically if somebody wanted to come along and take some aspects of what we're doing, it could be used in either way. We don't have a set of beliefs in either way, and I would find it quite annoying if it was taken one way or the other. Politics for a lot of people is irrelevant. People don't care. If people cared, there'd be 100% of people voting. They don't. They don't care. It doesn't mean anything to a lot of people in this country, and I would say outside of this country as well. Certainly within the rest of the European Union, I think it's pretty similar. If you look at the last set of European election results, it was probably average 40–45% of all Europeans voted that could have voted, and the rest of them didn't bother. That's a very large number of people. They don't care. If this country was to get a sense of itself properly, as in looking at the other aspects of our earlier history, which I think is very important, and I think would enrich the country if more people were aware of what we had. The only way that that could come about is if politicians decided to go and make it come about, realistically. Because if they backed something with money or some form of an organisation, then it would have a much greater chance of success. Although in this country, when you ban things, it tends to work out a lot better, so maybe that would be a better option, I don't know. I'm hoping that some people might realise that stuff was there and go and find out for themselves. There'll be a small number of people, but it might, work away like a little domino effect. They might tell other people. It might be only 1 or 2 people, it might be 100 people, I don't know. But yeah, I would say that there's a certain apathy in the country with regards to our culture, way of being before. As long as they have money in their pocket on a Friday night to go to the pub, I think most people would be happy with that, which I think is a little bit sad. There has to be a little bit more to it than that.